Hey all, today we are going to talk about direct variation. We will have direct and indirect variation, but today we will talk about direct variation. And so we have this equation of direct variation that looks like this. And we introduce this letter K. K is the constant of variation. It is a value that is related to the variables x and y. And so if we know that these two variables vary directly, as it says here, we can actually find a constant of variation, or if we know the constant of variation, we can use it to find values. And so we are told that y is 11 and x is 4. So we can use this formula to find k. So I'm going to plug in 11 for y. We're looking for k, and x is 4. And I can solve this one-step equation for k by dividing both sides by 4. And so I get k, my constant of variation, to be 11 over 4. So the equation for this relationship, this direct variation, would be y equals 11 over 4 x. And so now I can find the value of y for any x value simply by plugging in the value that I want to know. So I now want to know what happens when x is 7. If 11 over 4 is my constant of variation, then what is y going to be when x is 7? So I need to just plug in 7 for x. And we have some strategies to use on Desmos to plug in if you want, or you can just multiply 11 over 4 times 7 and get a fraction. Which is going to give you either a decimal of 19.25, so I just did 11 divided by 4 times 7, or if you want to write it as a fraction in simple as 4, 77 over 4. So because we know that x and y vary directly, we're able to find this constant and then use that constant to find a new value. So let me do a couple more. Here I have y is 6 and x is 10, so I'm going to use this relationship to find k. So I'm going to plug 6 in for y and 10 in for x. I'm going to divide both sides by 10 to get k by itself, so I get k to be 6 over 10. And then I'm going to simplify that. We should always simplify fractions. So 6 over 10 is the same as 3 over 5. And you know how to do that on Desmos. You put 6 over 10 in, get a decimal, and then hit that fraction button. And so I have a direct variation that looks like this. Y equals 3 over 5 x. 3 over 5 is my constant of variation. It's kind of like slope. You can see we have no intercept over here. And now I can use this variation equation to find values. So I want to know what is y going to be if x is 9. And so that means to plug in 9 for x. And so I can do 3 over 5 times 9. And I can get a decimal, 5.4. Or I can get a simplified fraction of 27 over 5. Both of them are fine. Let me do one last one. It's always good to write y equals kx. You know what you're dealing with. We're looking for k. We know that y is 15. and x is 14, and so that allows us to find k. Divide both sides by 14, so basically we're moving that underneath here to get k to be 15 over 14. And then we can rewrite our equation now that we know what k is. And that's going to allow us to find any y value when we know what x is. And so here we want to know, hey, what is y when x is 8? And so we're going to do 15 over 14 times 8. And we do get sort of a nasty decimal, so I'm going to turn that into a fraction. And the simplest that fraction gets is 60 over 7. So again, you can put this into Desmos, get a nasty decimal, and then press this button on Desmos, and it will give you the simplified fraction. So if you need any help with this before you move on to the U-Try problems, please do make sure you ask me. If not, go ahead and try these. Or actually, I skipped the U-Try problems. There you go. I saved you a couple problems today. So go right to the practice, but do make sure that you ask for help if you didn't understand anything before you move on to the practice. Don't practice this without asking for help first if you are confused. Take your time, and good luck.